and welcome. You are watching a podcast series that we're calling America Under Fire, The Old Guy Speaks. We're now going to be doing segment 8, which is entitled The LGBTQIA Plus Movement. This is a follow-up to our ESG and DEI segment, and a good place to touch on how cultural Marxism invaded the LGBTQIA plus movement, hereinafter LGBT. The 1969 gay riots at the Stonewall Inn in Manhattan brought the LGBT movement to national prominence in what is now called the Rainbow Revolution. The Epoch Times newspaper reports that in addition to other government advocacy, over the past 3 fiscal years, 2021 through 2023, the U.S. government spent an estimated $4.1 billion on direct grants and loans to fund LGBT promotion projects in the U.S. and around the world, including Russia and China. During my earlier adult working life, I'm 81 years old, it was love your neighbor and live and let live. I worked alongside gay and trans adults, and we had good relationships. I still believe that the LGBT folks back then were people who had come to LGBT largely on their own and largely upon or after puberty. But the Marxist crowd has in more recent times latched on to the LGBT ideology and used it, particularly transgenderism, to divide Americans. Why? Because sexuality works. It can be made volatile and divisive just as race can. So it's just one more way to divide us and weaken the nation's culture. How are the Marxists doing it? And this is what has changed, in my view. By going after our elementary age school children through the schools, force-feeding them sexual ideology long before they're ready for it, and in violation of the roles and responsibilities of their parents, who are the rightful owners of that sacred responsibility. Activist teachers, librarians, and even health professionals are damaging our pre-puberty children with what is euphemistically called gender-affirming care, which at that age is simply gender confusion. So how did that come to be? The short answer is via academia. The Marxist takeover of the transgender movement reportedly started in the late 1980s, when some on the fringes of academia proposed that the timeless gender construct of man and woman is a social construct and a false binary that had been used to oppress racial and sexual minorities. So it had to be ruthlessly deconstructed. They argued that transgenderism was the best tool for the job, and the rest is history. We got transgender studies in academia. We got academic essays arguing that traditional Marxism had gotten it wrong by focusing on the workplace and on the, quote, new socialist man, unquote, and that the true path to communism lies in abolishing the distinctions of man and woman, to transcend the so-called limitations established by God and nature, and to connect the personal struggle of trans individuals to the political struggle to transform society in a radical way. As I speak here, we'll try to put up the cover photo of a collection of transgender Marxist essays that I believe are available on Amazon if you'd like to look into those views. Anyway, I keep thinking that the old-line gays and lesbians of my generation must wonder what in the world has happened. What has happened is that huge amounts of money and political support are pouring into equally huge networks of schools, teachers, counselors, gender support coordinators, you got that? Doctors, social media influencers, and other activists who, under the cover of bafflegab slogans, lure our little children into questioning a gender identity that they don't even understand yet. Then onward into beginner items like breast binders, then into progressively damaging things like puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, then high-risk transgenital surgeries. As with the other topics that we're covering, the destruction of our currency and our financial freedoms, the phony contrived emergencies like climate change and the Green New Deal, and the planned existential threats like pandemics and the eradication of food supplies, Marxist activists are embarked on paths designed to weaken America and to bring it under totalitarian/authoritarian control. Mark Levin of Fox News reports that 2 Chinese billionaires have joined George Soros and the other usual suspects as significant funders of the U.S. transgender movement, but not in China. Anyway, in this instance, I believe the mainline LGBT crowd got snookered into going after our pre-puberty kids. But that is sacrosanct territory, and I believe they may come to regret going along with that initiative, as their movement may pay a political price. One great quote that I've recently seen is to the effect that, quote, "The battle for America is in the elementary school classroom and in the homes." That's very true. The battle for America is in the elementary school classroom and in the homes. Squib. Now, I haven't explained this word squib, I don't think, since the first segment that we made. A squib is just an interjection of some information that I found after I put together the basic outline for this talk. So squibs are just interjections of info that I've come across more recently. Squib. In late 2023, the American Psychiatric Association, the APA, released a psychiatric training textbook on transgenderism called Gender Affirming Psychiatric Care. The introduction reportedly says it's based on an evidence-informed approach instead of an evidence-based approach. Cultural Marxists claim to be better informed than the rest of us. The introduction also reportedly quotes a feminist studies prof as saying, quote, "Scientific neutrality is a fallacy," unquote. So, just another attack on actual science. Squib. Some abortion businesses are reportedly now expanding into transgenderism for kids. Gender confusion can apparently be made good for the bottom line if you work at it. Squib. Moms for America, this is a public interest group, has made a wonderful proposal. Apply the FCC's TV and radio language and conduct standards to school textbooks also. And I would add to curricula and to teachers. And that completes our discussion of the LGBTQIA+ movement. Thank you for watching.